Hey, what's up, guys? I'm late. I'm sorry, I'm late. It happens sometimes. Sometimes you're late. Listen, so many things I've wanted to talk about over the last, I don't know, how many, like 2 or 3 weeks? We didn't get there. I've had a real big roadblock with this. I sat down with a friend and had an amazing conversation with a friend. And I even recorded it. We got on Discord. I was looking quite slobbily. I don't think that's a real word. Let's look it up. Synonyms, variations, slob, variations of the word slob. Slob. All right. Yeah, we knew that one. Sloven. Maybe Sloven. Sloven. I was looking very Sloven. I knew it. I was looking very Sloven. Oh, I might have been a, I might have been a little high. And this guy's a great guy, man. Him downstairs, great guy. Shepherd, as we come to know him by, and Shepherd has got a really brilliant take on being creative. He has a sense of business. He has a sense of like keeping the big picture in scope and pushing for great content, something that I clearly am weak with. He even knew about how to set up business tax structures, and we talked about a lot about gaming, and we talked a little bit about life and health, and the reality is, man, I am right now. I sort of got into this whole being obnoxious on social media thing through gaming. I've been hearing this expression a lot lately, FOMO, fear of missing out. Maybe it's a little bit of it was that I saw some people I like to watch. I was like, oh, that looks really fun. I want to do it, and I started, putting a lot of like really average gaming clips online, and trying to put above average effects on them to make them look good. Whatever. I'm really sort of over it. At the moment, I play video games a little bit, but it doesn't have its grip on my interest and on my time like it did before, and it doesn't feel like anything that's like good time invested. So frankly, I've been stuck. I haven't known what to do with it. I told I told Shepard I was gonna upload it, and and I just don't know where to upload it to. I have a really silly little video game channel on Instagram. I've thought about splicing it up and putting it in there, but it just doesn't it just doesn't feel authentic to me in what I'm trying to do with my time right now. You know, Needless to say, hey, we are back. It's been a little bit too long. I've had some things on my mind. Some things have gotten away. There's been things I wanted to talk about, the things that I might circle back to, and things that I might not. I do really want to make a commitment. I usually spend about 20 minutes telling you guys how I'm going to try to keep these shorter. Let's just skip all that. Listen to the first three, and you'll hear my ramblings about that. What I want to go into today is just some of the things I've been experiencing lately. I am for the update, I'm like either a little bit below or a little bit above 50 pounds down, which was about almost 10% of my initial starting weight. I'm really close to that. I think I hit it. I've been off the scale for a few days, been off the scale for a couple weeks. The scale, and I can only do so much scale in my life. Maybe that'll change someday. I'm not worried about it. I do get wrapped up in my head about it a little bit. But hey, good news, scale's down, and and I'm feeling so much better. I what I've been really focusing on lately, though, and not because it's been some intentional like desire to uh take an alternate viewpoint of anything, but it's just been where my heart's at. This is the scale, man. That scale is man. She's a cruel bitch. I don't think I'm supposed to say that in the first few minutes. Otherwise, YouTube hears it and automatically like doesn't. I don't know. I'll blank it out. But what's been really fun is some of these non-scale victories. Like when you get in the car and you're just like, wow, there's like more space between me and the steering wheel. Or the other day I was able to lay flat on a bench press and do a bench press. Nothing, not very much weight, by the way. Very little weight. That's something you're going to come to notice is like all these like strong guys. Hey, wow, strong guys, impressive. I am not one of you, but I did lose weight. I did move some weight, and I was able to lie down without my back being all like humped and in pain and feeling all super unstable and afraid I was going to fall off the bench going down or coming back up actually is even harder. So and dude, that's just been phenomenal. What else has been good? You know, I've had two stories lately about going for a walk, a few lately in the last couple weeks that have been really meaningful for me. I've Chris and I have been walking to grab a coffee every now and then at the gym, and it's about it's I've measured it. It's about a point 0.8 walk, point 0.8 of a mile walk there. We sit down 10 15 minutes. I gulp down a coffee. He usually sips on his and carries most of it on the way back, and then we walk back, and you know, I go pretty well. I've had a little foot pain here and there, a little bit of issues of blistering here and there, but it was like the first like really solid. Oh wow, we're moving better. Like I mean, I remember, uh, you know, Mark's gym is a pretty big warehouse building, and it's shared with his business and other businesses in the gym. And I remember not that long ago, just from the front door to the back door, oh, it was hard. My lower back just blows up and start feeling the sweat, coming off the forehead and then eventually down the back, and it was just awful. It was just like, hey man, this is as far as I can go. I mean, I could go further, but there's going to be a price to pay. It'll, a lot of things that when you're bigger than big, right? A lot of people think it's the exertion that knocks you off your game. I have come to believe it's not the exertion. It's the post, injury that you're doing. The little all those little tearings of the tendons and soft tissue and tightening of the muscles. It I find myself when I would go really too hard, and I would kind of lead with my ego instead of my common sense. I would end up being just sometimes just shut down for, I mean, sometimes for a couple weeks, usually for about a week. But gosh, then the walking's been great. I that was the first like real sign of like things are moving in the right direction, and it was only like epitomized this last week. I I got to go for a walk with Mark. Now, Chris and Mark have invited me to go on their morning walks in Davis many times, and I've always had to say no because I knew I've gone on hikes with friends before that I wasn't capable of finishing, and it's a scary feeling, man. You get sometimes it's a couple hundred yards out, and you start realizing, oh wow, I'm not going to make it. Or you get a couple hundred yards out, and you start going, hey, I need to gut check. Let's keep going. Let's not give up so easy so fast. And you keep going, and then the problem is you're out there. You know, it's not just like an elliptical machine at the gym. You can't just hit stop and step off it and find safety somewhere. You got to turn around and come back. And I've had some experiences before where I'd go with some friends for a hike, and you know most of them were either they were committed to not caring, you know, they were there for them, and they went off and did their hike. I remember one time, and specifically, one friend stayed back and was willing to keep me company, and maybe the others sort of made that acknowledgement, like, oh hey, John's back there with him, we can go tear off. So uh the reality is though, I didn't have near the, and this was years ago, this was like 10, 11, 12 years ago. I just didn't have the stamina to take any like real walk. And probably about a quarter mile, maybe a half mile into it, I was trashed. I made the first half mile of a 4 mile walk. It wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. Which, kind of leads me to fast forward to, Mark and Chris have been saying, hey man, why don't you go take a walk with us? And like, I know what happens. I know what happens with that. I know when the go take a walk with us turns into a real problem. So I've always said no. Like I've had genuine love and appreciation for being asked. It hasn't made me, it's a gut check time every time. I wish I could go, but I can't right now. I'm just not there yet. I'm not there yet, right? I'm not there yet. Well, you know, um, I kind of had, truth be said, I kind of had a bad week last week. I went pretty hard in the gym for about a week straight, and I ended up finding myself where everything hurt. you know, and I was like, man, the morphing from couch potato to just person with some general sense of health in their body, whether it's a rough one sometimes. And when I say everything hurt, I mean everything. I mean in between my shoulder blades, up and down my neck, my lower back, my front legs, my back legs. I swear that in between the knuckles of my hands were just so damn sore because I just went a little too hard for a while. And you know what, and what ends up happening is I kind of articulated it last night, maybe for the first time with some success that I've wanted to say. It's like, I get so sore, and sore, man, sore is an underrated word. People can really, like, that's one of those words you can just step over and not really realize the impact of it. But you get so sore, or you get so ran down, or you get both, where I just find myself just like falling back to just minimal operation. I got through recording Chris's podcast last Tuesday. I think I was just really motivated to keep going. I worked out a little bit over the weekend, a little bit before the week before, and I think I hit a good workout on Monday. And I was able to stay home and do his editing, do the editing. I'm on the podcast too. I'm famous, yo. And I uploaded it Wednesday or Thursday, because even Wednesday I was just I took my kids to school, and I got my kids back from school, but that was it. That was like all I did. I peed. Maybe took a shower in there somewhere. And you do that for a couple days where I find I'm just home limping all day, you know? And I know I'm not talking about like that first 10-minute limp where you just sort of gotta, motion is lotion, get the oil going. I'm talking about, all day long, every day, every moment of the day, you stand up, and when you take movement, when you take steps, you deal with just crazy pain. And I know a lot of you guys have been there before, and I know I sound like a baby right now. I know. You're right. Um, but man, you just start shutting down, and then and then and then I think I've really started seeing, like, I think I've really started seeing that the aftermath of that pretty clearly last week, and look in retrospect. Um, you start shutting down. You're not getting much sun, you're not getting much movement. I'm just sitting on the couch watching YouTube, mostly. Trying to get a few loads of dishes and laundry in, but frankly leaning on my kids, like, oh, can you please help daddy? Daddy's owie today. I know me and my kids, they're 13 and almost 9. I still talk to them like they're 6 months old. They seem to like it still, though. So until they shut it down, I'm sticking with it. I'll be daddy forever if I can be with those guys. If they'll let me be. So and then and next thing you know, like, you're not shopping, right? My wife has got a stressful job. She works shit hours. I mean, it works for her, but she works graveyard. She doesn't like to go shopping. Um, all of a sudden, like, we're out of food. Like, we don't really have any meat at home. We have some eggs in retrospect. We had eggs. And and yeah, man, I can DoorDash ground beef to the house, right? If I really wanted to, if I was really of presence of mind. But next thing you know, you're like, oh, dude, I'm so sore. Fuck, I'm hungry. We don't have any food. Dishes are full. You know what would fix this? Like, a sandwich from Subway would really make me feel better right now. And you have a sandwich from Subway. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, okay, now that's what we're doing. Oh, we're back on the old way of eating again. We're just eating all carbs with a lot of fat blended in and a little bit of protein. And, and it helps. Subway is like, next thing you know, then I found myself not binging, which was nice because I was staying away from the pizza. The pizza is when I mean staying away from the pizza, I probably had it in there once. Come on, dude. Are we gonna lie to each other at this point? I mean, Russell eats too much on occasion. It's not really a surprise to anybody, right? I need to stop pretending it is. Um, I think I got some Arby's. I didn't really binge. I just ate trash. Excuse me. I allergies or something. I know it's gross. I'll cover that. I didn't really binge. I just ate trash and didn't get much sunshine. And I think my wife felt like crap most of last week. She's going through her second spring, and usually it's not a problem, but occasionally it is. Uh, and No, hey, listen, my wife is amazing. Don't get me wrong, seriously, I mean that. But all that to being said, like she wasn't in a state of mind to put out extra output, I suppose. And just I think I got a little depressed. And I think this was like last week. I was sore going into the week. Made it through Tuesday, I think, pretty unscathed, and so here we go. I mean, I just sort of had a bad Wednesday, Thursday, and I would say probably Friday last week, and I found myself sleeping a lot on Friday, and I found myself sleeping a lot on Sunday, and I think as I said in that Instagram post, I basically sit on the couch and just wait for the limping to go away. You know, not not doing a lot of the smart stuff, right? Not grabbing my kettlebell, and kind of massaging out my thighs, not getting on the floor and rolling my ankle and separating my toes and doing a lot of the stuff which I did this morning. I find a really great way for me to spend the morning is I will usually sit down, have some coffee, I, and let the well, first I'll have my thyroid for usually for the first 30 minutes. I just don't do anything. I just sit down, take my thyroid pill, and I wait 30 minutes, and then that's it. And then after that comes the coffee. I like to wake up early. I like to just sort of kick it in the house for like about an hour before the boys wake up. And I'll if I'm feeling good on my toes, somewhere in that first 30 minutes, I'll get in. I'll start a load of laundry. I'll start a load of dishes if there's any left over from the night before, and make some coffee, have some coffee, and then when I'm doing really good, like I did today, I get down on the floor and I start stretching while I watch some coffee. It was really motivating for me to do that today because I had my kid, which I usually do. If he's not too tired, I will wake him up. We leave for school around 7:45. Usually wake him up around 6:30, and he'll do the rower for like you know really 20-30 minutes, man. I don't know how far he goes relative to the time spent, if this is good or bad. Maybe if any of you know, he usually does about 1,200 meters in an episode of the Goldbergs. He just fucking loves the Gold. Uh, and that's kind of been with me lately, saying, "Hey, dude, speed up a little bit," because he can really slow down. So I've seen recently. I've seen like what sprinting looks like on the rower. Some of these people sprint on the rower, and they just destroy a couple hundred meters, a few hundred meters, and to the point where they're making the thing like the rower is shaking. They're moving with so much torque and so much force on it. He's just doing it casual. I'm not here to drill sergeant him over it, but I do try to push a little bit. But and again, and that's and in solidarity, and not just in solidarity, but because I need it too, I will sit down and start stretching, while he's doing that. And so all that being said, man, wow, what a digression. So fast forward. I slept a lot on Friday. I slept a lot on Saturday. Um, I went to bed probably around 7 or 8 on Saturday, and I wake up at 1:30 in the morning to to go do your standard 40-year-old wake up in the morning and go pee. Right, this is everyday stuff. And I and because addicted, I'm addicted to the dragon. I grab my phone, right? Nothing like checking in, checking in on the world a little bit. I've been out for a while, and I see a text message from Mark. Let's go meet up for a walk tomorrow. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm well rested. I did the foot check. The feet were pretty good, right? And I was like, yeah, all right, cool. Well, let's do it. And I met up with Mark, and we went for between the walk in the park and going to grab coffee. We went for like about a 4 mile walk over the course of maybe like an hour and a half, about an hour and a half. And man, dude, I guess I don't know if any of you will really ever understand how much that means to me to be able to go like reclaim a little bit of life back. To be able to go reclaim a little bit of joy and fun back to sharing some friendship you know, someone who I adore, someone I admire, which I don't, I really try to save that word admire. I try not to use that one a lot. Love, I'll throw a lot of loves out there. Respect, a little less. Trust, maybe even a little less than that. Admire, I save that one. I save that one for just a handful of people in my life that I've really let go with that. And I admire Mark. I really, really admire Mark. Um, and our friendship is probably damaged because I'm just always just kind of gobsmacked by my admiration of the guy, right? But he's the coolest fucking guy, and I am incredibly blessed to call him a friend. And I love that dude. He's given me so much support and love and joy. Love and joy. Am I saying my marriage vows? Uh, and he's just been by my side, man. And I've had other people make well-meaning attempts before. I've got a couple uncomfortable memories where people have tried to be there in the right ways. And dude, this guy, he gets it, man. For such a badass, he is such a sweet man. And to be able to go for a walk with him, to be able to go for a walk with a friend. And yeah, dude, I had to rest a couple of times, and Mark was real cautious to every now and then just make me. I took like 3 or 4 breaks in there, and my feet actually held up pretty good. What started getting my feet was I started forming blisters on kind of on my toes, and I've been even wondering like how could I circumvent that. I've heard wearing nylons under your socks. That was an old thing in the army that a lot of people swore by. I never tried it, but I've also been thinking probably those toe socks, right, would probably reduce the friction against the sliding of the sock back and forth in my foot. I don't know. Maybe it would make it worse. Maybe I would get. I don't know. But needless to say, I got a couple blisters that I'm still dealing with a little bit. Um, and my shin. I don't think it's shin splints, but I've definitely took too much. I put too much out on my shin. I just did. I'm still coming back from that. But and what is it? It's Wednesday, and this was Sunday. So, I mean, considering that's the longest, does that count as a hike? Oh, maybe. I don't know. Uh, Almost hike. My brother used to always want me to go on hikes with him, and I always knew that it just wasn't in my uh, physical capacities. Um, but I'm a little bit wore out, but not bad, guys. And that's just a blessing. And and today's getting long in the morning. I will be brief with this week around. But I had the next morning, I did the same thing as I did today, like the little 2 inch steps walking around and, just, that would probably a lot of people in their, I think late 30s and into 40s and 50s and beyond, that those first steps can be rough for a lot of people. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about when it doesn't go away, or actually 50 steps into it, it gets worse. I'm not dealing with a lot of that right now. Very little. The blisters are healing. Um, the shin is tight and sore, but it's coming back. And the next day, I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna put a stamp on that day. I just want to put a stamp on it. I set up the new gym, and something that I bought this really badass. It's a little small for a big man. When even an extra large hex bar feels small when you're a 5x body. Six, but let's just say five. Um, and I did some deadlifts, pretty light, right? I think like the bar weighs like 75 pounds, maybe 65, 75, and then I had a couple plates on there, and I did like 4 or 5 sets. So that was great. And I'm certain I could go. I'm certain I could have went up, right? I'm certain I could have. It really wasn't about that for me. Uh, we'll take it slow, and it was just great. It was just great. But all that to be said, okay, that is not the best thing that's happened to me since last we talked. I hit the 50-pound mark. I started walking greater distances. I deadlifted. I laid flat on my bench. Amazing. Like these are non-scale victories that are just through the roof. I guess the 50-pound mark isn't right, but this is the best one. The best one was last weekend. Last weekend, I went to go take my kids to the movie, and you know, uh, when you're a dad, you're just always looking for a way to connect with your kids, to make them enjoy spending time around you. That isn't involved bribing them with delicious food, right? I mean, that's just such the simple answer. Uh, you know, I I I remember about 4 or 5 years ago, I took my wife to the movies. We would go to the movies on occasion, and it's a couple hundred yards, maybe 100 yards, a couple hundred yards from the parking lot to the theater. And these theaters now are just huge. Like even once you get in through the front door, you still got to walk forever just to get to the theater, right? These places have 14, 15, 20 theaters. They're just giant malls with movie theaters all lined down the hallways instead of stores. Um, Comfy though, right? You can reserve your seats, and some of the seats even elevate. I mean, really cool. But they're big facilities. I remember taking Rebecca to the movie one night on date night, right? Date night. I'm out with my love. I'm out with the woman of my dreams, the woman I want to be the man of her dreams too. And man, halfway from the car to the theater, I had to grab a rest at a bench, man. And it was to me pretty obvious, like by anybody around us, oh, fat boy's taking a timeout. And but more than that, it was obvious to her. You know, like I think a couple podcasts ago, maybe even last one, I told you about like when her and I were first started dating. I almost killed a guy for her honor. Like I did. Like seriously. I mean, I almost sent a guy to a hospital for her honor. Uh, thank God I realized what was going on, and I'm not a man of violence. I'm not. I'm not a man of violence at all, and I'm not a tough guy either. You know, check out the last podcast if you want to hear that story. But this is a woman like, dude, I want her to be impressed with me. I remember on our first date, we're walking from the car to a nice Italian restaurant in Willow Glen near San Jose. It's kind of a San Jose sub city. sub neighborhood. I don't know if it's its own city or not. Going to this, fancy Italian restaurant, fancy for common people. I don't know. It's not like Los Gatos fancy. But Willow Glad, right? You know. Uh, and she reached her hand up under my arm and grabbed my bicep as like she like initiated that contact. My wife likes that I'm a bigger guy within reason. My wife likes that I'm a I was a stronger guy when we first met. My wife, she takes some, she enjoys that, right? And to just be so immobile and incapable of just basic human movement. It was just, God, it was. I did my best to not let it spoil the night. I had to, sort of stuff away my disappointment in that because I didn't want to linger on it, but I remember being embarrassed and ashamed. That's why I will always go back to this. Fat shaming is ridiculous, and some people really say, "Oh, I didn't know I was fat until my uncle Larry told me I was fat, and I changed my life." Okay, all right. I mean, I can't say you're lying. Most fat people I know uh, really are aware of their obesity, and I was really aware of mine that day. Really aware of mine. Um, and I mean, I made the walk. This was years ago. I don't even remember how many years ago, but as many as five, as few as three. Let's say that. Um, anyways, last week I took my kids to the same theater. We parked at the same spot, and I was able to walk. I was able to walk from the car to the theater, and we had a great time. We watched Sonic, and I snuck in some Pork King Good chicharrones, pork rinds. They were delicious. Uh, yeah, sharing them with the boys. It was great. We saw Sonic. It was great. It was great. It was great. Um, and that's where we're at this point. Lately I've been really confronting the fact with myself because it's like a problem. It's a problem. I am so uncomfortable with all the loose skin I have, and I know it's only going to get worse. And I've seen some people, you know, deal with it with a lot more courage and a lot less self consciousness than I do. I already know I would love to be at a point where I could go through one of those surgeries where I could, get the loose skin dealt with to some degree, lose my man boobs. I, I walk after I take a shower, and on occasion, like I think I hear my belly slapping against me. Like my belly, as it's getting smaller, it's deflating, and I don't have to pretend to you guys that I think that's appealing. For anyone's feelings to get hurt by that, I'm right there with you. Like, hurts my feelings. You know, we can't all be Brad Pitt and Fight Club, I guess, uh, or Mark and Chris Bell, right? Um, yeah. So I've seen a couple people on Instagram lately. A guy. Oh gosh, what is his name? I'll find it real quick. Yeah. Okay. The Fit Boss, Jordan Graham. Dude, dude, Jordan, if there's any chance you hear this, wow, dude, you're like I look at what you did. Let's talk, dude. Let me find out. you know, I'm gonna do my best to follow your lead. Chris says he's super nice too. And then there's this girl, uh, Get Fit with Jessica, down 100 and I think Jordan lost like 200 pounds, and Jessica lost 170 pounds naturally. Um, and I'm referencing these guys because they both had like skin tightening surgeries, skin removal surgeries. I, even back 15 years ago when I was starting to look into maybe having weight loss surgery, I told myself, they said, "Hey, how do you feel about going bald?" I was like, I don't really care about going bald. They said, "Oh, how do you feel about loose skin?" I was like, yeah, loose skin. That's going to be a thing. That's going to be a problem. I'm going to have a lot of issues with that. So if it's not one thing, it's another. I'll take that, and I'll take the loose skin if that means I can go to the movie theater. I remember last time I was in the theater with Rebecca, man, my legs were pressed up tight on those movie theaters. I even remember at one point they have the adjuster to raise or lower the footrest like on the inside of the seats. And my thighs were like pressed up against the buttons, and my footrests are going up and down because of that. And it sucked. And I'm sitting there trying to like make space where there's none to be made to get to the button to put the seat back in the right spot and all that. And my lymphedema was a lot worse back then, so it was even more important for me to get my feet up. But yeah, I made that walk with my kids. I don't know if they'll ever really know how much that meant to me, but I took a little bit of my life back, right? And that's where we want to go. I want to be able to, go fly on a plane. I want to be able to take a hike with a friend. I want to be able to, you know, take a walk, and lose this weight, and we're making great progress. And it's a shame that sometimes I get so easily distracted. It brings up, you guys have heard me even say in these last couple episodes, I've sort of identified that when my life gets unmanageable, I start to really fall apart on my diet. And this last week was kind of a good example of that. My life kind of got unmanageable towards the end, and that's exactly what I did. I let the diet really fall apart. And again, I sort of think I've identified, it usually starts with food prep. Food prep, when I get so run down, if the sink gets so full, if my movement gets so restricted, and then we'll say self-restricted, because I know a lot of you guys could just say, "Hey, well, buck up and move on," which and to the right degree, that's right. Um, when I when I stop meal prepping, and even if meal prepping is just getting to the grocery store and buying some tri-tip or buying some ground beef, when I stop meal prepping, my diet goes to shit. Just goes to shit. And my meal prepping is not extravagant. I've tried the whole, like, you know, get the Tupperware and portion it out. And the fridge gets full. You end up with all these Tupperwares that just never clean again after the first use. I don't care what you say. Um, and it's super time intensive, which I used to have a lot less time than I have now, granted. Um, but my diet falls apart. Like I have to oh, and I guess maybe part of that too was my kids were home from school last week. So I didn't have the need to leave the house like I normally do, right? That had to have played a role in it. That had to have played. It was like a long weekend. And I we ran out of food. Man, I guess I don't two lessons for me from last week. Lesson one, it's time to have a little bit more resilience in times of struggle with these diets. I need to not be so, I think I wrote in a post, uh, you know, life does not have to be so tidy for me to be able to be successful, right? Lesson two, though, and that means don't stop food prepping, because not food prepping is like, that is life. That's the air to this diet. And I know some of us disagree on what our macros should be. Some think it could be very unhealthy to eat so much meat. Some think, be more well balanced. I have a friend that's lost, like, I think 30 or 40 pounds this year, and he tells me I eat whatever I want. I just control my portions. And to him, dude, awesome. That's great, Chad. I'm so happy that you can do that. Like, that's great. And he never said it to me like he was trying to say anything. He's just sharing with me his journey, and I listen. Um, that doesn't seem to work for me. I do the cleanest when I just lean really, really, really heavy on protein. Maybe a little bit of fruit, maybe a little bit of salad. I mean, I've had a little bit of fruit and a little bit of salad most of this last year. I haven't been just all meat very much. I've been mostly meat, mostly meat. That's kind of, my little tag, protein leveraging, the power of protein, as Mark and Chris are always saying. I believe in it. And protein is about the hardest thing to get on the go. Not impossible, but the hardest. It's definitely one of the, you know, it's more expensive. It's the most expensive thing to acquire if you're not being intentional about it, right? So I have to remember food prep, food prep, food prep, and just it's Tuesday. I've had a good couple of days on the diet, and just keep going, man. I am not content with only losing 50 pounds. Uh, I we got to push on. The push to 100 pounds down. We got to go to 100 now. Now we're hitting 100, and wow, just wait what life is going to be like when we're 100 pounds down. I would really like to get better at sharing this story with you guys. Um, I have to really ask myself what that means. I've had to ask myself a lot lately, the last couple of weeks. What does it mean to even do this podcast? Should I continue to do it? Is my story worth sharing? You know, do I have the articulation and skill to share this story in a worth listening to manner? I think about these things, a lot. So probably too much. Less thinking, right? Um, but that's it. That was it. Oh my God, still so long. But maybe the shortest one we've done so far. And it was a good one. So uh all that being said, man, it's been a good few weeks since we've talked. And I want to start going into these a little different. I'm gonna be looking for new ways to share this story with you guys, new ways to sort of be part of it. But I will say this to you guys. It's not every day, it's not all day long, but I did someone said to me today, I just want you to know I'm on the same journey dealing with similar challenges. Your post helps me get on myself and I say, well, buddy did it, so I can too. I know it sounds corny, but when you have more to love, for me it's more inspiring. I think she means, a little on the thicker side like I am. It means it sounds corny. When you have more to love, for me it's more inspirational to watch folk around my own size work out, and it gives me hope and inspiration that I can relate to the struggle without doubting myself. Like, Mercs, that's fucking great. And I love you, man. We've been in each other's like little social media world for a year or two now, and always there to wish each other support and well wishes. And yeah, man, Faye Merks, she's very cool. She likes to play video games. She likes to stream on Twitch, and which leads me to that. I did endeavor to be a Twitcher again for a while, and I think this is where maybe a little bit of the depression comes from. And I think similar, like that whole, that expression of the moment, FOMO, fear of missing out. But I went back to it, and I almost immediately realized, nah, I just don't really have any passion for this anymore. You know, um, not like I did. I used to have quite a bit of passion for it. Now it just seems I just don't feel the pull. I keep telling myself I'd like to, but I don't actually have the pull to. So I will be setting aside, my hopes of becoming the next online video gaming superstar at almost 50 years of age is probably finally reached its end. And I'm okay with that, man. My gaming friends, my gaming people that I knew, they were such a source of friendship and community, and I love playing video games. You guys know that. But it's been something I've done a lot less lately. It's, I play a few hours a week now versus it used to be a few hours a day. And and A, I miss some of the friends. B, I'm trash now, even more than I ever have been at the gaming, which sucks. But C, it's freeing up a lot of energy and emotional bandwidth and a lot of time to pursue for what me at this point in my life is greater goals and greater things I need to get done. So I will say this: gaming is. I think gaming will always be part of my life. I've been a gamer since I was a kid. I took a couple decades off in there when I couldn't get into the consoles, but if you're gaming too much, think about it. It's a great time to have sniffly nose. So yeah, I guess that's it. I don't want to sign off, but I'm going to sign off. That's it. I miss talking to you guys. I miss taking time for this interaction, and starting next week, I will be doing it a little different. This next week, look out for a slightly different approach next week, but at the same time, it's the same basic thing. It's us talking, me sharing my story with you, and that's it. All right, bye 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 bye. Kisses. Mwah, bye bye bye.